Hello, this is Stephanie Washer, and this is a video for my Cisco 1 and 2 students. It is basically Cisco 2 because it's about trunking. We're going to talk about how to set up the switch ports, how to set up the router, and we're going to do inter-vlan routing with it. So we're going to do a couple different things. This is the topology that we've been building on in the last couple of videos, so we're still working on this. You'll see a couple changes, but I'll point them out on the router because we're gonna have to make a change on the router. And so we're gonna start with switch 1, and here is the interfaces that everything's connected to. So we have the router is connected into port 5 on the switch. And then the switches are connected port fast Ethernet 1 to fast Ethernet 1 on switch 2, and then 2 to 2 on between switch 1 and switch 2. The PCA is plugged into port 6 on switch 1. PCB is plugged into port 18 on switch 2. Notice that PCA is in VLAN 20 and PCB is in VLAN 30. Right now we don't have anything working on the PCs, so I'm just going through the commands and without really any testing of anything, so that testing is going to be up to you later. All right, switch 1. What we're going to do is I'm going to bring this over. We're going to do these commands on switch 1. I have it all set up in a notepad document. I kind of have a tendency to do this. It gets a little crazy sometimes. But what you could do is when you're preparing for the hands-on final for any of these Cisco courses, you can actually put it in a notepad document to kind of help you out. In fact, I had a student, he would put everything in a notepad document, and when you come in to do the hands-on final, we don't allow you to just copy it over. We did have a couple instances where we gave you less time if you copied it over, but we'd rather you type them in by hand. And so he would give me the copies at the end, and it was great. So I knew all of the commands he was typing in after the fact as well. Okay, so we're going to open up switch 1, and we're going to go to the CLI. I'm going to make this bigger so we can see the whole screen. And we're, oops, I'm going to click in it. Class. And then here I'm going to bring this up so that we can see what we're doing. So switch 1, and the reason I pointed out those ports is because we're going to make changes on port 1, port 2, port 5, and then we've got some configuration already on port 6, so we're pretty good on that. And then we're going to, as a safety measure, we're going to shut down every port, every unused port, and then we're going to make them all switch port mode access. And the easiest way to do that is to do that in the beginning. We're going to go into global config mode, and we're going to use the interface range command, and it's going to be F0/1 to 24. And we actually have 2, if I do this, let's go back one. If we do show IP int brief, we can see all of the different ports, and so it goes 1 to 24 for fast Ethernet, and then we have gigabit Ethernet 01 and 02. Do not have to worry about the VLAN 1 right now. We're not going to worry about that. So seriously, this should be changed to VLAN 40, the IP address, but we're going to leave it for right now. We're not going to worry too much about the VLAN management address right now. So now we're going to go into config T again, and we're going to do interface range and F0/1 to 24, and then we're going to do comma G0/1, G0, comma G0/2. So that's our interface range. Now we can do both of those commands that you see on this side of the screen. So switch port mode access and shut down. So switch port mode access. So we're setting these all to access ports. Well, access ports are only the ports that are going to be basically connected to PCs or end devices, printers, whatever. So then trunk ports are going to be connected to switches. So between switch and another switch, between a switch and a router. So a switch in any other intermediary or device. Switch to remote access, and then we're going to shut it down. So we're doing all of them. We're shutting them all down, and you can see it's shutting them all down. We had configured interface fast Ethernet 06 already in the previous video for VLANs, because we put the VLAN 20 on it, and we did do switch port mode access on that. So now we're going to go into the different ports and configure those. So I think the easiest way, we'll just do 6 first, and we're going to do no shut. We're going to open it right up. So that one's up. And then we're going to go into interface fast Ethernet 01. Now remember, fast Ethernet 01 is the one connected to the switch. Switch to switch. We shut them all down now, so so 1 is to the switch, 1 and 2 are to the switch, and then the router is in port 5. So let's get back into this switch. And we've got fast Ethernet 01. And we can do TUT2 if we wanted to. Oh, I forgot to do range, sorry. Interface range, there we go. And now we're going to do switch port mode trunk, because we want it to be a trunk port because it's between the two switches. Then we're going to tell, we changed the native VLAN to 60. So we need to say that. Trunk native VLAN 60. And we're going to say no shut, because we want these to be on. So right now we have not programmed switch 2 yet, so it's going to say a native VLAN mismatch. That's fine. We'll change it. It'll be fine later, I promise. And now we'll do the interface fast Ethernet 05. We could have done comma probably in there and added it to it, because it's the exact same commands. If we do up arrow, we can do switch port mode trunk and switch port trunk native VLAN 60. And no shut, finally. And you can just do no SH for that command. And that's it. That's it for on the switch. So let's Control Z to get back and do a show run. We're going to go through and see. So port fast Ethernet 01 has our switch port trunk native VLAN 60, and 2 has that as well. So we can see all 3 of them that are the trunk ports and have the switch port trunk native VLAN 60. The only other one that we need to check, and it went by real fast, so scroll back up. Oh, that's why. So the native VLAN mismatch popped up, so that's why it provided a problem. So we have, for port 6, switch port access VLAN 20 and switch port mode access. This will resolve itself once we change it in switch 2. They're all switch port mode access. They're all shut down. We got our VLAN 1 and our gateway. All right, we're pretty good. So now we need to go to switch 2. That's all we need to do. We can do copy run start. The other one, remember, is WR space M for write to memory. So either one works just fine. To save your running configuration. So still native VLAN mismatch. We are going to get, I'll bring up my notepad here with the trunking for 2. It's really the same thing, only we're only configuring 2 ports instead, and then we're making sure that port 18 is not shut down after we shut down everything. So that's all we're going to do. All right, this one popped up with on that same side. Yeah, can you imagine if I didn't have logging synchronous, that logging synchronous command on here? We would be messed up. All right, so we need to get in global configuration mode. So we're going to global configuration mode, and we're going to do the same thing we did in the other one. So int range F 0/1 to 24. They're exactly the same switches. I know that because I put them in there, but you can double check just like we did with the previous one where we did a show run or a show IP INT brief to see all of the interfaces on there. So, okay, so we're going to keep getting this until we do our switch port mode trunk native VLAN 60 command. So switch port mode access, that's what we're doing first. And then we're going to do shutdown. These are all shut down now. Now we're going to go into interface fast unit 01, and we're going to go to 2. Yeah, I forgot range again. I always forget the range, which is fine. Up arrow helps because then we can just go back in and edit. So we're going to do switch port mode trunk. Switch port mode trunk. Switch port trunk. Native VLAN 60. There we go. Done. Oh, not done. No shut would be great. So now those are up. And we will not get that native VLAN mismatch. So now I got to make sure that our port 18 is up because that's what our PC is connected to. Okay, now our PC should be up. So let's Control Z to get back to the beginning and do a show IP INT brief. And okay, so it popped up 1 and 2 are up. They're up and up. So you can see up and up. If I made this just a little bit bigger, maybe. Yeah. So up and up, and then we come back down to 18, and that one's up and up. So that's good. We want to see that. And our VLAN 40 right here, so VLAN 40 is correct. That's what we want for our management IP. So we're done with switch 2 now. We'll go on to the router next. All right, we'll go to the router now. I need to get the router information up. There we go. And then, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a sub interface on G0001. And remember, we already configured this port fast Ethernet 05. We've configured that already on the switch. And then what we're going to do is we're going to configure sub interfaces on the router. So we need to make sure we're on gig 001, and we're going to create sub interfaces on 001. That is why I have .20, .30, .40, .50, and .60 for our router trunking. So really all we have to do is go into the router. Let's bring this up over here. And we're going to put these in there. Let's see what we got here. All right. So you can see that it was changed to up and down because we were messing with the ports on the switch. We shut everything down and then we turned on what we needed. So that's why you see that up and down. So the first thing we're going to do, and you can see I have it written up here, no IP address on the main interface for gigabit Ethernet 001. So remember our previous commands are in here. So we're going through and we're going to look. And we did put an IP address on the main gigabit Ethernet 001. So we want to get rid of that. And we're going to do that first. We're going to go into global config mode and we're going to go into INT G001. And we're just going to say no IP address. And I didn't type it out fully, but it still took it, I believe. So we're going to do show run real quick. I don't know. I just always do show run. It's just real quick for me. And okay. Yep. And then you can do show IP INT brief here as well. And you can see gigabit 001 is up and up, but it doesn't have an IP address on it. And you can see that the IP address is unassigned. I thought we had an IP address on loopback 0. I'll have to put that IP address back in there on the loopback. It's real easy to do. We don't need it for right now, but I am going to put it in because guess what? I'm going to forget. Okay, let's exit out now. Okay. Good. So let's go into configure terminal, and we're going to type in int g0/0/1, and we're going to do .20. Now .20 doesn't really matter. It's just the sub interface that you're creating. You could do 2468. You could do whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4. But we're creating sub interface G001.20. I just made it match the VLAN. That's all it is. So now it automatically puts that to up. And we don't have to do no shut. I'm just always putting it in there. Then we'll type in description. Student, it's the student VLAN. And really and then this is the one that makes it count. This is the one that makes it encapsulation. If I can spell encapsulation right. .1Q. So encapsulation.1Q. So we say encapsulation, we specify it, and then we say our VLAN. So on the switch, on both switches, the student VLAN is VLAN 20. So we type in the 20. And then we put an IP address. And then we put in the subnet mask. And we can type in no shot, but it says it's up. So we're going to just leave it. And then we're just going to go directly into INTG 0/0/1.30. Change that to up. Description. Faculty VLAN. Encapsulation. .1Q. And then the VLAN, the faculty VLAN is VLAN 30 on the switches. And everything else, I have that right here as well with the IP addresses. All right, and then the IP address. The router is just going to be the first. I just made it in this example. It is the first IP address. The switch is the second IP address. The switch 1 is the second IP, and then switch 2 is the third IP. And then the PCs will be .10. Actually, the PCs will be DHCP, so it'll be a range. And now let's go into, let's just copy stuff now. So we're going to copy the management VLAN in, and we're going to paste it. And we're going to take the administration VLAN and paste it. And you can't do... you can do copy, you can do Control C in Notepad, but once you get to Packet Tracer, you have to do the paste. You have to click on the paste. And then, so what we'll do is we're going to do Control Z and type in show run to verify. Okay, so we got our loop back. Okay, here we go. We have Gigabit Ethernet 1.20, that's our sub interface. VLAN, it's the student VLAN, that is VLAN 20, and the IP address is 192.168.2.1. Then we have Gigabit Ethernet 1.30, it's the faculty VLAN, it is VLAN 30, and then 192.168.3.1 for the router interface. 40, management VLAN, .1Q40. And then this one happens to be 1.1. The management VLAN is in the 192.168.1.0 network. Then we have administration VLAN, which is 50. So we got subinterface .1Q50 and then 192.168.5.1. And finally, we have our native VLAN, which we do not have an IP address on, which is fine. And our .1Q60 is our native. So that's all we need. That's it. That's it for router on a stick. And we can go in and I don't have IP addresses on the PCs, but you could go in and you could ping your PCs now. You would not be able to, PC to PC would not be able to ping each other until after you put in the router interface. So we did, I'm going to save this because I made a couple changes. So we did, if you just had the two switches and the PCs connected, you're not going to be able to communicate between two PCs that are on different VLANs until you have this router. So we've got inter-VLAN routing and trunking all in one. If you have any questions, please email me at s.washer@rockvalleycollege.edu, or message me on Netacad.